CBSE Board, Class 11, History, Chapter 2, Part 29, Audio by Renee Matthew. So Sufis were people who extremely denied themselves, and they wanted to go into profound thinking about God. The vision of God was different for them. And there was another alternate vision of God and the universe, which were developed by the Islamic philosophers and also the scientists. And that was done under the influence of Greek philosophers and science. We should always remember that history has got a great anticipation when it comes to the Greeks and the Romans. They were the ones who found out a lot of things and shared many things to the rest of the world. So it was like a mystery where all the ideas came from the Greeks and the Romans. So everything was developed under the Greek philosophy and science. And during the 7th century, there were remains of late Greek culture. And we should remember that most of the resources that was compiled by the Greeks and the Romans were lost. Even now it is lost. The remains were found in the 7th century, and it could still be found in the Byzantine and Sasanian empires. That is from where they dug out the remnants of the Greek culture. So even now they are able to understand and also dig out the main resources which lead us to this kind of philosophy. Now a lot of schools of thoughts developed in Alexandria, Syria and Mesopotamia from then itself. And this is one part of Alexander's empire who encouraged a lot of learning and knowledge. Greek philosophy, mathematics and medicine were taught along with other subjects. The Islamic people, they studied Greek philosophy, mathematics and medicine also. They gave much importance to that. The caliphs who belonged to Umayyad and Abbasid dynasties, they commissioned the translation of Greek and Syriac books. They were paid. People who translated these works were paid. They commissioned them. They translated the books into Arabic, and that was done by Christian scholars. So they used to hire people who could really study these contents and translate it into Arabic, because that was the language of the empire. So translation was a process which was well organized from that day itself. It was a very organized activity under Al-Mamun, the ruler who supported the Library cum Institute of Science. This is the Library cum Institute of Science. The name is Beit al-Hikmah, which is located in Baghdad. Many scholars worked here and many people came to learn. Many people came to get things translated and study also. You must have heard of the great philosopher and thinker Aristotle. The works of Aristotle, the elements of Euclid and Ptolemy's Almagest, all these philosophers, the early philosophers, all these things were also brought to the attention of Arabic reading scholars. So any scholar will have to go through the works of these great thinkers. Indian works, especially on astronomy, mathematics and medicine, were also translated into Arabic during the same period. So to what all works they gave importance, that is given in this slide. All the different branches of study and how they gave importance to Greek, how they took pain to translate all these works, and even study the different branches which came from India. Now these works also reached Europe, and when Europeans saw that these people were really studying so much from philosophy and they were getting scholarly knowledge from these works, that kind of ignited their interest in philosophy and science. They also started opening academies because they also wanted to have vast knowledge on these scholarly books. It is not very easy to study these thinkers, Aristotle or whoever is discussed in the previous slide. You need a lot of teachers to sit and discuss and also explain each context which is given in the book. So that was the condition in Europe where people were ignited by their interest in philosophy and science. There is a very interesting article on an ideal student which is written by Ahmed ibn al-Qasim ibn Abi Usaybiya Yun al-Anma. The name might be a bit difficult for you to pronounce and understand, but it's a very valid resource and it is applicable to any student like you. So who has written it? Abd al-Latif was a 12th century legal and medical scholar. So we have got this resource from a law and medicine student, a scholar of Baghdad. He talks to his ideal student. He talks to his student and he says that you're supposed to be like these. You have to follow these guidelines to be the best student, to be the ideal student. Okay? The first one is, I commend you to not learn your sciences from books unaided. Unaided books which is not expected for you to refer. You shouldn't refer the books which are not aided, though you may trust your ability to understand. It is very easy to read the unaided books and understand and get knowledge, but it is not prescribed. So such kind of books will have to be avoided when you learn. And the next point is to always have your trust in teachers for each science that you study, the knowledge that you acquire. And you shouldn't limit your knowledge to just one teacher because he can or she can offer only so much. And you have to always find another one who is more accomplished. So there is a choice that you have to make in life. Do not be stuck up with just one resource. Teachers or books are always resources. You need to keep on expanding your resources, the point that is given here. You must venerate and respect him. Venerable, that is highly respected, highly admired. All these qualities come into veneration. Reverence is there. So much of divine feeling is there for a teacher, and also respect him. So venerating a teacher and respecting a teacher is very important for your success. And whenever you read a book, always make effort to learn it by heart and master its meaning, where you have to go into the deep sense of it. Learning by heart is easy for many students, but without mastering the meaning, it is not easy. So imagine that you're going to lose the book. The book is going to disappear within no time. So when you have that feeling, you will start by hearting and mastering it. If suppose you have to return a book tomorrow and that book is very important for your reference, you will start studying it the whole night, right? So that is the meaning of this point. And one is advised to read histories, study biographies and the experiences of nations. These are the books that you have to learn and relearn. Histories, biographies and experiences of nations. Why do you have to do that? It is because in its short life space, when you study a biography, what is a biography? It is the life of a person which is written by another person. Life of people written by another person. So, in that short life space, the person has studied so much and has got a lot of experience with people from the past and was also intimate with different people. They can differentiate between the good and bad of life. So these kind of knowledge is acquired from biographies where people really relate with so many people. They get in touch with so many people. Okay, not only people from the contemporary world, the present world, but the people from the past. So the experience from the past people is recorded. It becomes intimate, it becomes intricate, and you will have a choice in life between the good and the bad. And he's also asking the student to model their life on the early Muslims, because early Muslims were found to be really passionate and they always followed the importance of Islam. Early Muslims were passionate. They were so devoted and sincere, and he's also asking the students to read the biography of the Prophet and follow his footsteps. Study and read the Prophet. And he also asks the student to distrust the nature. Do not always believe in yourself and think that you are very happy with what you have. Do not be complacent in life. You should always thirst and struggle for more. And you should always submit your thoughts to men of learning. Keep changing your route and their works. And you should always proceed your learning with caution, with carefulness, and avoid haste. Do not hurry. That is one important point that you also will have to take into your life. Do not hurry in studying things. For that, you have to have a plan, and every day you have to work. Be careful when you have learning. And he also says not to be endured with the stress of study, because when you have stress during your studying period, you will not taste the joy of knowledge. And that is why he's asking you to be cautious and to avoid haste. Do not have a stressful study, because it will not give you the joy of knowledge. And once you've finished your study and reflection, occupy your tongue with the mention of God's name and sing His praises. So after your study, always give thanks to God and thank Him for the knowledge that you have got. Be thankful. Do not complain if the world turn its back on you, because every time the situations will not be favorable. You will have a lot of tough times in life. But be thankful for whatever you have, the positive side of life. So even if the world does not do something according to your expectations, do not complain of it. Know that learning leaves a trail and a scent proclaiming its possessor. So always when you learn and relearn daily, the effect will be seen as an individual. Because when you sit among people, the difference will be shown in the way you speak and behave. There will always be a ray of light and brightness shining on people who are well learned. Pointing him how it means? Putting him in the spotlight. Always people who learn will be put in the spotlight. Okay, so very important part which really gives an insight on what it is. The study of new subjects were also influenced. It was also expected and promoted, which led to critical inquiry, criticism, and because of criticism, it led to a profound study on the Islamic scriptures. Intellectual also developed. What do you mean, or what is the importance of criticism? It is like pointing out the goods and the bads, the merits and the demerits of a work or of a thought. Because when both are studied, when both are discussed in the right way, criticism is not abusing. Abusing is totally different from criticism. So there is a way that the scholars usually follow to criticize a work, and that led to wider expansion of intellectual life. There were a lot of scholars who were really good in theology, such as a group known as Mutazila. This particular group was really learned, and they always used Greek logic and methods of reason. So how they promoted Greek, this part is important. And this is known as Kalam to defend Islamic beliefs. They widely used Greek logic and methods of reasoning. There were a lot of philosophers known as Falasifa. Okay, so this particular group used Greek logic and methods of reasoning, very important point. But do not confuse this group, Falasifa philosophers, with Mutasila. Mutasila is totally different from Falasifa. Philosophers known as Falasifa posed wider questions and provided fresh answers. They always kept on questioning the reasoning part and everything so that more knowledge is acquired. There's another person known as Ibn Sina. He was a doctor by profession and also a philosopher. He did not believe in the resurrection of the body on the day of judgment, because Muslims always believe that on the day of judgment, as per Prophet Muhammad, all the people who are dead will resurrect. Resurrect means come back to life. But Ibn Sina did not believe on the resurrection of the body on the day of judgment. He was completely against that. So his belief was met with a lot of strong opposition. People started defending it, especially theologians. And he also wrote a lot of medical writings, and that was also widely read and discussed because he was a doctor by profession. And the most important part of Ibn Sina was Al-Qanan fil Tibb, canon of medicine. And it is a million-word manuscript which has got millions of words. It has a list of 760 drugs, medicines sold by the pharmacist of his day. All the medicines which were sold by the pharmacist of his day, of his time, is listed in this particular work. 760 drugs are listed. And it also gives a lot of notes on his own experiments. He was a doctor and he was passionate about his profession. So he also conducted experiments, especially in hospitals. Bimaristan. So the work is Al-Qanun fil Tib, and the 760 drugs that is listed in it, it's a manuscript. It's the original work which was bound. Okay?